What is our next learning objective? The agency problem. Can you get into an agency problem as a young person, as a student, as a mid-manager, as an upper-level manager? There might be a conflict of interest between the stockholders and the management of the firm, the principals, and the agents of the firm. If you are a stockholder, you are a principal. Notice how I spelled that, P-A-L, not P-L-E. P-L-E means rule. You are one of the key people in the organization, and the management group that you've hired are your agents, hopefully acting in your best interest. From the owner's side, your priority is to seek new investments, raise the share price. From management side, job security, corporate luxury sometimes. We'll buy that expensive corporate jet, higher compensation at the expense of shareholders. So you have to be careful that you don't create an agency problem. Here's an example of a young student athlete, number 39 at Penn State back in the day. As you all know, you can run into an agency problem as a young student athlete because before nil anyway, you're not supposed to take any sort of gift. This young man back in around the early 90s took a suit, something as simple as a suit, to look good at the Heisman Trophy Award show. So you would think, what's wrong with that? Well, he didn't have money to purchase a suit himself, so he got a free suit from an agent, which was against NCAA laws at the time. Now we have different NCAA regulations with this new NIL, name, image, and likeness program, where in some circumstances you can take some of those gifts and awards. In management, you might have direct agency cost and you might have indirect agency cost. An example, buying unnecessary items like a corporate jet or corporate fleet of cars. Those are direct costs that you might get in trouble for or not be in line with the shareholders' interest. And you might have also indirect agency cost. You might have a lost opportunity from avoiding, let's say, an acquisition. I'm too afraid to take on that acquisition, so I don't, and that would be classified as an indirect agency cost. Managerial compensation these days is often tied to financial performance. If you perform well, the company does well in the eyes of Wall Street, the company's stock goes up, and the managers usually do well in those situations. Usually you're handsomely rewarded with a salary, sometimes a bonus, sometimes profit sharing, sometimes stock options. Steve Jobs made $1 a year, 1997 to 2011, but he got rewarded with lots of stock options, 5.5 million shares of the company. You can calculate what that net worth would be at today's stock price of Apple Inc. And that changes daily. So just multiply today's stock price times how many shares of stock Mr. Jobs had at that time, and you can get a good feeling for what that stock was worth, growing from $19 million in the early days to over $2 billion in his later days. Control of the firm rests with the stockholders who elect the board of directors, who hire and fire management. And management is their agents. And hopefully the managerial folks act in the interest of the board of directors and the shareholders. Stockholders can replace those existing managers through proxy fights. One notable one was Compaq and HP. Some of the founders of HP, Mr. Hewlett specifically, and his family did not want to acquire Compaq, and they put up a big fight. Carly Fiorina, former presidential candidate, was the CEO of HP at the time. She wanted to acquire Compaq, and the stockholders voted for. So Carly got her desire, and HP did acquire Compaq Corporation. Proxy fights come in the form of a proxy forum where you get to either, if you can't go to the annual meeting, which many of us can't, when you buy stocks, you get these proxy forms, and you end up voting, sending your proxy vote in. And perhaps a company like Fidelity will hire National Financial Services Corporation to vote your shares for you. So we do that via proxy form, and you initiate a proxy fight by that same mechanism. What is a proxy? It is giving the authority for one other person or organization to vote your shares of stock when you can't make it to the stockholders meeting. Who owns the corporation? The stockholders own the corporation. And who hires and fires management? Stockholders via the board of directors.